being adopted, the thing that usually came up was I looked different than my parents. And most people were just curious. Some people made fun that, oh, you don't look like your parents. But the one thing that I always remembered is that with my parents, they always made me feel very comfortable with them and our family and the family around us and their friends. And even though I had an Asian face and they were all African American, I never felt from them that I was different. And because I was brought from Korea, and it was such a great opportunity that I had to grow up here in the United States, I want to also bring another Korean child and give them the same opportunity I have had. And so it's my way of sharing this very wonderful thing that has happened to me. Say hi, Mommy.
Hi, baby.
Do we all look alike?
Everybody
looks just like you.
Yeah. Looks like him, huh? Looks like you.
Hey guys. It's 3 a.m. for her in Korea. So she's a little sleepy right now. Here we go. Here we go. Here we are at home. Oh boy. Here's Grandma. Waking up. She said, I've been...
all these strange people.
So this is my nap time.
You should see Mom holding her.
Hi.
Mom held her. Oh my God.
And so they gave me an opportunity at another chance at life.
Here's sweetheart.
And we had a lot of African American friends, but we also had a lot of Hispanic friends. And I had friends that were Japanese, Korean, and Chinese, and friends from Central America and other places. So growing up with my African American parents, I was just so exposed to so many different cultures and nationalities, and it really has helped me as I today live and work in Los Angeles, which is a very diverse city. Here's things that all our friends and family got you. Isn't that nice? We're just very grateful to have Mia here, and it took so many people that helped us to make this day possible. So I'm just so overjoyed, so happy and excited, and we just want to thank all our friends and family and everyone that really is, like I said, made this day possible, because without them this would never happen, and we wouldn't have the joy of having Mia here and now a family. So we're just overjoyed. This way. Okay, we'll switch. There they are.
추석 설날은 거의 잊어버린 지가 오래됐고, 미국식으로 그 땡스기빙 데이하고 뉴 이어, 크리스마스.
사는 자체가 빡빡해요. 그래서 미국 행사 챙기고 한국도 명절 챙기고 그럴 글쎄 여력이 별로 없어요.
I don't even think my dad knew what most of the Korean holidays were, because again, his father emphasized the fact that we're in America now, and we're really not Koreans anymore, we're Americans now.
세배를 하지는 않아요. 1월 1일 날 그냥 그런 게 있다. 그냥 절은 이렇게 하는 거다. 뭐.
Not wearing shoes inside the house.
Yes.
It's a clean Korean culture thing. that we really like.
Yeah. In fact, some of our American friends have adjusted to that, and they thought it was such a good idea because they're like, "You're right. Then you don't have dirt all over the house." So they actually started like taking off their shoes in their house from us.
Yeah.
I remember I had a friend in middle school. And she would call her parents by their first name, right? Their parents' name was Brian and Mary, and the phone would ring in the house. You know, ring, ring, ring. She picks it up, and she hears, okay, it's for her dad. Brian, Brian, the phone is for you. And I'm like, oh, are you kidding me, dude? Like, my parents would slap me, right? Or even talking back, like, no, Angela, you can't go to the school dance. Why not, Mom? Why not? I can go to the dance if I want to. I'm grown up. I can make my own decisions. I can drive now. I can go. And I'm just like, holy crap. Like, parents would be like, just like straight to the face, you know, like in an instant.
Both of our parents, they were worried about, you know, like, it's not just the marriage between a guy and a girl, it's the marriage between families, and the families have to match. And I was like, that's so Korean, like, you know?
We provide counseling services to individuals, adults, as well as children, couples, families, and we also provide things like anger management, domestic violence, also parenting classes.
Improve on the areas of. It's just frustrating when some.
Yes, before that wasn't the case. This incident.
Family problems, I think that they don't know how to communicate, and again. Sometimes it is because of the language barrier, but most of it has to do with the fact that parent is not listening. They may say that they're listening, but they're not really listening. So it stops the child from talking because the parent is actually not listening. They're just wanting to tell the child what to do. And the child's point of view, they may think, oh, it's too Americanized, so I'm not going to listen to it. And then because it starts off that way, I think it goes the other way as well. The child also thinks, I'm not going to listen to my mom, not because I don't understand her, but because she's coming from this Korean view. And she doesn't understand me, so I'm not going to listen to her either.
I mean, I grew up in a family that spoke Korean, but because of the pressures of growing up in an American society, I was kind of embarrassed to speak Korean, actually. So, and I had this very rough and tumble childhood, so I didn't really live with my parents the whole time. So when I kept living with different siblings, we always spoke English at home, so I lost, actually, a lot of my Korean.
We speak only English. Actually, it's funny because the only time my parents used to speak Korean would be when they were talking about one of the children and they didn't want the children to know what they were talking about. So if you ever heard mom and dad speaking Korean and then you heard your name in the middle of it, you knew you were in trouble.
저희 큰아이한테 한 번은, 그러니까는 여기서 문화적인 게 틀리니까 한국에서는 부모님이 아이들을 혼낼 때는 이렇게 눈을 이렇게 밑으로 내리고 그리고 이렇게 엄마 아빠 그 혼나는 걸 듣는데 여기 아이들은 미국 애들은 눈을 맞춰야 되거든요. 그러니까 어른이 얘기할 때도 눈을 맞춰서 그러니까 나한테 무슨 말을 하는지 눈을 맞춰서 이해를 해야 되는데 이 아이는 그러니까 아메리카나이즈가 돼 있으니까 저한테 이렇게 제가 막 혼을 내는데 계속 눈을 저를 똑바로 쳐다보는 거예요. 그래서 제가 너무 화가 나갖고 눈 내리까라 이랬어요. 그랬더니 이 아이가 가만히 이렇게 날 쳐다보니 그게 무슨 뜻이에요? 이러다가 혼내다가 웃은 적이 있었어요.
And my dad's like, I remember one day, like it was like right before like the deadline to sign up for one of like I guess it was a really expensive, really tough hagwon that he wanted me to enroll in. My parents both wanted me to enroll in, but for the longest time I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And then my dad is like, all right, let's go for a drive. I was really scared. My dad never asked me to, go for a walk or go for a trip just with him. So I was like, okay. I was like making sure, I was looking in the car, okay, there's no hockey sticks, there's no baseball bats, there's no golf clubs. Okay, I'm safe. He puts the car to the stop and he tells me about what happened with him. He told me that when he was in high school, he was really trying to get into Yonsei, which is apparently kind of like Yale. And he told me that he was a very good student, he was a good athlete, but right when it got toward the end, he felt like he didn't try hard enough. And I think for him, he still kind of felt that deep down, like, oh, maybe I should have done this, maybe I should have tried harder. And he told me that he sees a lot of that of himself at that point in me, and that he really doesn't want me essentially to make the same mistake that he did. And of course, he wants me to grow up being more successful than he is. He doesn't want me to just be like another dry cleaner.
When I was younger, I would get beat. Typical Korean culture. I mean, not typical, but a lot of Korean parents like to, in American terms, abuse their children. In Korean terms, it's discipline. Sometimes I feel like I got pretty beat up, like really hardcore, and there are times when I don't want to see my dad, and he doesn't want to see me either. Like for maybe 2 days, like me and my dad don't see each other. We like try to avoid contact. But my dad would later calm down. And being a good father he comes up to me and says, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I love you." Oh man, I'm crying. As you can see, this was a huge deal for me. But he would got real emotional real quick, huh? Woo! So after we would get into arguments, my dad would just say, "I love you," and he would explain why he did that, and he promises that he'll never beat me again, and that was the last time he beat me. I'm talking about the last one.
우리 오웬, 메들린, 요 베다니. 처음에는 약간 이제 아기를 처음에 낳는데 아기 먹이는 거 이런 거를 그 좀 이렇게 한국에서 내가 애들 기를 때처럼 이렇게 먹이질 않고 여기에서는 의사가 막 시키는 대로만 젖이 모자라면 죽도 좀 써서 물을 짜서 좀 먹여라 이런 걸 했는데 의사가 그러지 말라고 그런다고 안 하더라고. 그러니까 처음에 그게 내가 굉장히 불만이랬었어.
I remember my mother-in-law had said, you have to put her on her stomach. And she raised 3 kids and they are all healthy, and she said this is what people did. And when we were pregnant, when I was pregnant, all the doctors said you have to lay them on their back because if you don't, they can die. So we were very nervous as first-time parents, and so we kept putting on her back. My mother-in-law kept saying you have to put on her stomach. But soon we found out that she was very right. And Madeline slept so much better after she was